Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another video game review for you here today. We're going to be reviewing Rematch, the newest kid on the block in this like soccer, football, depending on where you're watching, video game genre here in the sports game. Obviously, not exactly like FIFA. It is much more cartoony, much more arcadey and sci-fi-ish, somewhat more similar to like a Rocket League, but actual human beings playing soccer instead of you know cars, like these cars that can thrust through the air and stuff. It's kind of a gap between something like Rocket League and FIFA or FC now, I guess, and it leans a little more towards, as you can see, towards the side of Rocket League with the controls and the visuals and the arenas and the cartoony graphics and stuff, and the arcadey effects. But it is still soccer at the end of the day, so I mean that's kind of the reason why it bridges that gap somewhat. But regardless, yeah, Rematch. Somewhat anticipated game just because obviously anytime there's a new anywhere near big sports game coming out, it's obviously a big deal. Especially when it's not EA making the game, it kind of raises a few eyebrows just because that company and EA has such a stranglehold on not only the soccer sports industry with FIFA or FC now, but just sports industry and games as a whole. So people thought maybe this would be a new outlet, and it is somewhat, but it's in a much more specialized kind of niche and industry than a game like FC. Again, like it bridges that gap between an FC and a Rocket League, in my opinion. And a lot of people have compared it to like real Rocket League soccer. Like that's kind of the comparisons it was immediately drawing when it was showcased and everything. And yeah, I think it fills that sub specific niche kind of well enough, anyways. Some of the good things is again, like I said, it's a new kid on the block in that genre. I think anytime you have a company that's not EA making a sports game, it's a good thing for new companies to throw a new game into the ring, and throw their hat into the ring for consideration. Just because, again, it's not good to have such a stranglehold on this one specific industry. It is a good thing to have some diversifications, not only in the companies and the specific games, but also how they kind of display the sport. By the way, this is pretty early footage of my games. Some of my first few games when I first loaded up the game on my Xbox and played through Game Pass on the Xbox Series X. That's generally what I do with a lot of these reviews. Is when I initially get the game and pass through the like load up phase and everything. I just collect early footage, both for spoiler reasons in some games where it's applicable, and also just so I can get the footage recorded and out of the way, so I don't have to constantly set up a capture card all the time. So that's why I generally have early footage of most of them. But I have played more games than what you'll see here. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I think some of the mechanics are cool. I think it's very valid arcadey kind of soccer game, kind of like some of the sideshow like game modes in FIFA, like the more arcade and not traditional football or soccer game modes in a game like FC. That's kind of in that niche and genre. And I think it's very valid, just like some of the FC game modes are pretty valid as well. But yeah, it's just different. It's a good fresh spin on things. Having a ranked game mode is good to keep the game somewhat alive and active. Because obviously, if it was just quick match in this game modes and everything, it would probably die off pretty quick, and or just be a very small community in game just because of the repetitiveness. But having something to achieve and try to work through is always a good thing. Past those positives and everything, yeah, I mean it's really good if you play with friends or family. I think that's probably the best, damn near the only way to play this game, and for a few reasons I'll get into in a minute here, is having some familiarity with the people you're playing with, um, or else it's kind of just like playing Russian roulette with the teammates and opponents you'll get and how that kind of dynamic works there. But yeah, it's an interesting game overall. Those are some of the positives. To get into some of the negatives, one of which you've kind of seen already throughout the video and the game footage I've shown here is the servers don't appear to be amazing. A lot of people are going to say like, oh, shitty Wi-Fi and stuff. I don't have top tier, the most expensive, best top of the line Wi-Fi. I'll admit that, but I don't have horrible or bottom tier Wi-Fi either. I'm kind of in the middle of the pack, maybe above average maybe. I even looked on Reddit to make sure this wasn't just a strictly me issue or my country or something. But yeah, it seems like the servers had some issues, not only in the full launch state, but in the early access phases as well, with a lot of server lag and rubber banding here, as you can see and stuff. It seems like that is a somewhat of a common-ish issue. Again, varies person to person, place to place, I'm sure, but it seems like that's something that's not completely just a personalized anecdotal experience for me. The servers seem to be a bit, you know, fluky. Whether that's some issue they have to fix or optimize, or whether that's maybe a player count spike because of the full game release, I'm not 100% sure. Regardless, that's something that I noticed there that really impacted the game. For some of my games weren't bad at all. Some of my games were really bad. Some of them were games like this, so it kind of was a little Russian roulette there, which kind of sucked for a lot of my gameplay experience. But when it's good, it's good, you know. Beyond that, I did notice that the controls, and I kind of expected this because it is a different game. It is a different type of football or soccer here. It is very arcadey and arena based, you know, and having special, like, I've kind of figured it'd be a little gimmicky and a little fidgety maybe. But the controls, and I play on controller, obviously I can't speak for mouse and keyboard, but at least on controller, which is the majority of the way people like to play sports games, generally speaking, it was a little finicky. It was overall pretty good and pretty fluid, but I just noticed some of the controls and like input, especially on a controller, were a little finicky. Maybe it's just a skill issue on my part, but I never really fully enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed some of the mechanics and controls in like FC or FIFA. Past that, some of the bigger issues is just the dynamic of the game. Obviously, as you can see, this is not traditional football. This is not even traditional football format. The max game mode you can play is 5v5, which generally consists of four people playing out on the pitch versus each other with one goalie back for each team. If you want, you don't even have to stay in goal or anything. And people frequently do venture out, like me, I'm kind of sitting back watching right here. But regardless, it's 5v5, 4v4, or 3v3. Those are the game modes that you're able to play as of right now, anyways. There is no 11v11. Maybe that's connectivity issues or like limiting the amount of randomness and the people you get matched up with or something. I'm not entirely sure of what all is the reasoning behind that. Probably just trying to limit it, kind of like a game like Rocket League, where you don't want to have too many people out there causing chaos. I could imagine it'd be very chaotic, and given the fact that this isn't tactical football, this isn't normal tactics for a football game, it would be very weird and finicky to do an 11v11, I'm sure. But because of that, there's a lot of hero ball going on, especially when you're playing with random teammates or teammates you don't really know, even if they're good or bad. Not a lot of tactics are going on. Not a lot of passing is going on. Not a lot of setups are going on, or good shot taking, or good dribbling is going on. There's essentially five people out there, or four or three, who all think they're Messi, who all think they should constantly be dribbling the ball, dribbling through every team, try to beat the goalie, always be taking the shot, trying to get as much possession as they can. There's not a lot of tactics going on, very few passes and setups. Again, that's person. If you play with friends or family or people you know or can talk to, you can coordinate a little better. Gives you a huge advantage, obviously, and definitely, you know, makes that a little bit of a process. But regardless, it was kind of frustrating to have that happen and play, especially if you're a solo player, don't have a full squad, even honestly. So that, and I think that it's not just a player problem. It also is a problem somewhat in the fact that like just how the game plays. That's kind of more. It's like Rocket League. In most Rocket League matches that aren't like high level competitive or ranked matches or people playing with teams of each other, it devolves into a lot of chaos usually. That's kind of a problem I noticed this game, but it is what it is in these type of games. But yeah, those are kind of my initial thoughts on Rematch. Interesting kind of game and like little subgenre here. I think it'll have its place. I think it's the best in this little arcadey football style game right now to play. Another thing I'll add, and the last thing I'll talk about is the price. This is not a free to play game. I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so it kind of was a free to play game for me. I'd suggest if you do have Game Pass Ultimate, maybe give it a download, give it a try to see if you like it. No harm, no foul. Obviously, you might as well. But yeah, just the price is not a free game, but it's not a 60, 70, or $80 game either. I believe it might vary. Obviously, it varies country to country of currency, but it might vary place to place or like platform to platform what exactly it's priced at. And also another thing to note, which is a minor con, is there doesn't seem to be any crossplay that I could see in the game. Why they didn't include that, I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't seem like there's a ton of crossplay between PC and console if you have people you want to play with on different systems there. So that's not great either for the moment, anyways. I don't know if they have plans to add that later down the road or not. But yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. But then going back to the price, it is about $30. That is USD. At least that's what it is on Steam. I guess let me look at what it's on Xbox, see if I can pull that up. But it is a little pricey for what it is, I think. It is a very simple game. There's only like one real game mode with just varies of how many players you want on the pitch, essentially. It is arcadey. It's not like a full-fledged actual soccer game, something like FIFA, even though obviously people have their problems with that. It just is, it's not to that level necessarily. It's $30, seems like across the board. $30 isn't outrageous pricing. I would have liked it to see a little more $20 USD pricing. Again, but there's the argument of making people pay reduces hackers, reduces Smurfs and trolls. And it does somewhat, but there's still that little that I'm sure in the game. And as long as it's not free to play, or as long as it's not pay to win or shoving microtransactions down my throat, I'm okay with paying for a game. Which this game is definitely not pay to win, at least not right now. And the microtransactions are somewhat there, but they'd never try to like shove them down your throat too much, and they are very limited, at least at the moment as of recording this, which I do appreciate in a paid game, of course, especially. But yeah, that's kind of the argument there. But it is a little pricey, maybe for what it is, kind of. Um, it is a little pricey. I would have liked to see this at like a $15 or $20 mark, maybe at max. I would have been much more comfortable if I wasn't using Game Pass buying this at a like $15, $20 mark, maybe, or even less if they could, if they could or wanted to do that, of course, as well. It just, I don't know. It doesn't strike me as a like really because again, like FIFA or FC now, there isn't a ton of different game modes. There isn't like a super realistic thing. It's not like a super high budget, full fledged soccer game. So it's not necessarily like they had to make it super expensive. I don't know, but that's just my thoughts on it. Overall, those are all my thoughts and kind of my review and pros and cons and thoughts and opinions on the arcade soccer game Rematch that just dropped recently on multiple different platforms there. But yeah, that's about it. I'd give this game about a 6.5 out of 10. Again, I don't think there's some issues that need to be fixed still. I don't think it's the most, that can maybe get up to like a 7 or 7.5, maybe an 8 at most. I just don't think this is like, again, this is going to be a niche game, I think. I don't think there's a ton of diversity and like replayability to this game necessarily. Even in the ranked game modes, I feel like this game could get old the more and more I play it here. It is fun to hop on with some friends or family and kind of fuck around or have some cool little shots here. It's good at what it is. It's an arcadey soccer game, right? And it's a difference between it's a different thing than fucking Rocket League, and it's a refreshing take on soccer or football from FIFA or FC now, obviously. But I mean, it just I don't know. It's not some like blow your socks off games or games that people are going to be playing, years from now and still have a huge player base or have a huge following. Really, this guy kind of reminds me of other arcadey sports games, kind of like a gridiron like football game, if you remember that, like American football, that is. It's something like that, but I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think it's 6.5 out of 10 game. It's okay. There's some issues that need to be addressed, and it's fine for what it is. But and it can be some good fun against with the ranked mode or with friends or family. But that's about it. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about Rematch or my review in general down in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the channel at large, I encourage you to subscribe and like the video. It definitely helps out not only the video but the channel at large and is very appreciated. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.